Dr. Phil. From cheerleader to ringleader.
She stole cash from her mother's purse to pay 2 would-be killers.
Her parents.
I got a phone call about the murder for hire, and it was my daughter that had paid for it.
Break their silence.
You can't just give a kid a pill and expect her to be balanced.
You can't excuse this or explain it away. She tried to have you murdered.
A Dr. Phil exclusive.
Today, from cheerleader to killer teen. A 17-year-old girl is arrested and charged with trying to hire not 1, but 2 hitmen to commit a double murder. Alyssa Hatcher stole cash from her mother's purse to pay 2 would-be killers. And in a shocking twist, the people she allegedly wanted dead were her very own parents.
A Florida teenager accused of trying to hire someone to kill her parents.
Tonight, that girl is locked up.
If that's not shocking enough, detectives say the high school senior allegedly used money she stole from their bank account to pay 2 hitmen to carry out her sinister plan.
Lake County Sheriff's detectives arrested 17-year-old Alyssa Hatcher. They say she's at the center of a murder-for-hire plot against her own parents. Detectives say Hatcher stole her parents' debit card and withdrew about $1,400. They say she also bought some cocaine. This all came to light when a student reported Hatcher to the school.
According to a police affidavit, the teen admitted to handing over $400 to a friend to give to a hitman to kill her parents. When the hits weren't carried out, she allegedly gave a second would-be hitman $900 to execute her diabolical plan.
Whether it was going to take place or not, the money did exchange hands, and we're glad we were able to stop what could have happened.
Tammy Hatcher Scheller and Mike Scheller were shocked when they learned that their beloved daughter was plotting to have them both killed. So why did she want them out of the picture? Today, in an exclusive interview with Alyssa's parents, they're here to tell their story, and they'll also reveal what happened when they confronted their daughter behind bars. Tell me, in your own words, what's going on.
What we feel really has happened to our daughter is, unfortunately, she's kind of got tied up with the use of drugs and alcohol, and her life has just taken a downward spiral in the last 8 months. I mean, she went from being happy and healthy and being involved in her school, being involved with her family, to the complete opposite now.
How do you characterize this, Mike?
She got in with the wrong crowd and got introduced into the drugs and alcohol.
She got your debit card, right?
Yes.
And she did 2 transactions? She took out 400 and change, and then...
She took 5 out at the ATM.
Okay, 5 out the first time? Mm-hmm. And she spent 100 on cocaine and 400 on the...
That's our understanding, yeah.
Okay. And then the second time, she took out how much?
It was, from my understanding, it was a transfer to a PayPal account.
Of how much?
926, I think.
9 and change?
Yeah.
When did you discover the card was missing?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Before she was arrested. I just happened to be checking my bank account because I was going to make a house payment, and I saw the transactions.
Okay, you didn't physically miss the card, you just saw it on your activity sheet, yeah. So you're looking at your activity list, and you see $500 and $900, and you have no idea this is your cheerleader daughter taking money out to hire hitmen to murder you.
No, not a clue.
And how did you learn that?
I was on my way to the bank to report the unauthorized transaction, and I got a phone call at 9 o'clock in the morning from a deputy friend that told me what they'd been notified of, and she told me all about it.
Someone that knew her went to the school counselor and told him what was going on.
Right.
And then they contacted the sheriff's department.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first reaction?
Shock. And then I got angry.
What did she say?
A girl at this high school told them about the murder for hire and that it was my daughter that had paid for it and she had paid to have us killed.
So where are we now in this situation?
We're in a deep state of shock, naturally, because I don't think anyone really expects that their kid's going to want them dead, like at any point, for any reason. But then, you know, our heart does nothing but break for our kid because we know that she needs real help. And I think she's realizing now, as she's coming off of, like, the drugs and stuff, that she realizes that she made a major error. And I think it's all just sinking in. It's overwhelming for her. I mean, she's apologetic. And, you know, for us as parents now, of course, we stand behind our daughter. We want to help our daughter, and that's really what we want to do. But we don't really know how to help her. So it's like we're just broken. She's broken. We're broken.
What do you say to yourself about this at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're laying there staring at the ceiling?
I really don't think, you know, there's really words for it, you know, as a parent. I mean, the overwhelmingness of it all is really just disbelief. And for me as the mother, I'm playing a constant rewind of how my kid is, how we've raised her, you know, her heart, her spirit is just crushing because I see the life that she could have had that she's been working for, and she's got goals set and a future in mind, and now it's like we don't know what her future is. We don't know if we're going to deal with a situation where she gets to come home and get rehab and, you know, her mental health taken care of, or if she's going to be locked up for, you know, 30 years to the rest of her life.
Well, let me tell you all straight up. I have one agenda here, and that is to make sure that your daughter doesn't get locked up for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. That's not what she needs. That's not going to help her at all. But 50% of the solution to any problem lies in defining it. And we can't trivialize this situation. This is the Alyssa that you know. This is the Alyssa that paid $400 and $900 to have somebody come in and kill the two of you. How do you feel about that?
It's really hard. And as a mother, there's a part of me that says, that's not my child and I don't want that child.
And I'm not talking about the Alyssa that you've known from birth.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the one that went and gave $900 to come in and shoot you both in the head.
I mean, that Alyssa that's portrayed is the Alyssa that scares the heck out of me and Mike. We only know that it could get uglier and get a lot worse.
If she could be released, would you want her to come home right now?
No. I mean, I would love nothing more for her to be at home. But as of right now, no. She needs real help. We've asked for real help, but outpatient seems to be the only option that we can get for her, which is help. But you can't just give a kid a pill and talk to her once or twice a week and expect her to be balanced. And she's got maybe poor choice of friends, you know, the social pressures of social media and what people have to say. She's got all these triggers in her life that surround her, so it worries us if we do bring her home, if it's not going to be a repeat, or how long will it take? Because any time before we've gave her help and got her help, it's been a matter of 2 weeks before she's back.
And you say you don't know whether you'd bring her home. You don't know whether that's the thing to do or not, right?
No, I don't.
And you're her stepfather.
Yes.
And you've been in the picture since 2010. So how old was she when?
She was 8.
She was 8.
Close to 8.
Okay. And what's your relationship with her?
Well, I like to think it's a fatherly relationship. You know, I do care about her and want the best for her.
Are you close with her?
I think I am. When she was cheering, I went to the games. When she played soccer, I'd go to the games.
And she had a boyfriend here that badmouthed you to her, as far as you know, right?
Yeah.
Because you're in law enforcement.
Yes.
And thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
But she's known you since she was 8.
Yes.
So, you know, that's for almost 10 years. And she's known this boyfriend how long?
8 months.
There's been a steady change over the last 8 months of her attitude and anger. I don't know how to describe it.
I mean, it turned into hate your mom, hate your dad, hate law enforcement, do whatever you want, don't listen to your parents, you know. Despite whatever we tried to do, it's like the more and more we tried to pull her back, the more and more explosive things became in that relationship.
It was steadily seemed to be encouraged from the boyfriend, the bad behavior, the sneaking out, the doing the drugs, sneaking boyfriends in.
And she became physically violent, right?
Yes.
Who did she attack?
Me.
How?
It was full-on attack. She hit, slap, punch, grab, kick, and she just flipped just like that for me making her come home because we didn't want her to be at the boyfriend's house.
Did you call the police? Did you?
She did.
She actually called the police to try to say that I attacked her and she was defending herself.
Did they call CPS or Department of Child and Family Services?
They were involved.
Okay, and they came out and did an investigation and
They
determined
did.
what?
They determined that clearly I was the victim. You know, I was covered with the bruises and the scratches, the busted lip, and she had no mark, no nothing on her.
She was charged with domestic violence, right?
Yes.
She was.
I want to be sure that we are acknowledging the full dark side of this. This isn't something that just happens in the movies. This happens really.
It's real life.
And I have to know that you guys know that it's by the grace of God you're sitting here today, because if
Absolutely.
if he had acted on this the day he got the money, you have no idea what could happen. She hired, that sounds like a movie term, but she hired somebody to kill you. They just didn't do it. Do you know if this contract is active? Is there still somebody out there that's...
The only thing that we have been told was the Monday that she got arrested is that they don't believe that it's an active threat. But as far as guaranteeing our safety, no. I mean, it's very real.
What in her mind would she be saying to herself to justify wanting you dead?
Coming up.
Broken bones.
You knew about the broken bones when they happened, you just didn't know how it happened. How do you feel about missing that?
Tomorrow, she's afraid of her fiancé.
Are you abusive?
Verbally, yes.
You hit my ass!
His mean texts.
You an ugly b****. Why is this okay with you?
Because I love him.
His drinking.
He will pick up the girls from daycare.
While he's drinking. This is your daughter's little hand trying to prop your eyes open. What you two are doing is criminal.
Then on Monday.
My son refuses to go to school.
I hate school, it makes me want to kill myself.
He'll get right up in front of my face. His face will get red.
Are you afraid of what he might do?
New Dr. Phil. Monday. Cheerleader tries to hire hitmen to kill parents. A Dr. Phil exclusive.
What in her mind would she be saying to herself to justify wanting you dead?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Does she see you as an obstacle to having free run with her boyfriend? Does she see you as a disciplinarian? Why would she want to remove you from the equation?
I wouldn't say disciplinarian, but I do, I do enforce the house rules. That would be the only reason.
Have you weighed in on this boyfriend?
She knows very well I disapprove of him and their lifestyle.
Have you said, we don't approve, you're not to see him any further? And that's when she sneaks around to do it.
We've said she's not allowed to be around him.
So logic stands to reason from a teenage brain. If she thinks, this is my future, this is my love, I would do anything to be with this person, and you two are the obstacles in the way, the simplest explanation is get you out of the way and she has free reign to be with this person. You're the gatekeepers. She wants to be able to come in and out of the gate, get rid of the gatekeepers, and she has the freedom to do what she wants to do. What did you do when she was disrespectful in the beginning? Because you say she was a cheerleader, she was junior varsity soccer. She was described by people at school as sweet, loving, caring. They have said if somebody was hurting or in trouble, she was the one that would go to them. So we've got that child, and then it switches. And she starts to behave differently. When you first saw that happening, what did you do to remediate that?
We would base punishment pretty much based on the action. Mm-hmm. It would be more like you're grounded. You know, you don't get the phone, you don't get the car, you know, you're on restrictions. It was clearly explained what she could and could not do.
But did she go to therapy? Did she get help?
She was in therapy at the time, and, you know, they suggested that we start building in more of family counseling instead of just the one-on-one with Alyssa.
Right.
So, I mean, we always were very, like, you know, active in making sure that she continued with the therapy.
Okay, and how long did you do the therapy?
She has been in and out of therapy since she's been 4. But this time around, it started up, what, February, March? And she's been consistently in therapy since March.
Why was she in therapy at 4?
Well, my first husband was abusive. So there's a degree of child abuse that was discovered after our marriage had ended. So she started acting out a lot, and I thought best to put her in counseling at that time.
Child abuse of her?
Of her, yes.
In what form?
Broken bones, constant belittling.
You say broken bones.
Mm-hmm.
You knew about the broken bones when they happened, you just didn't know how it happened.
I was never there when anything happened.
Whether it was she fell or whatever. And was he abusive with you as well? Not with you, just with
her.
Just with her. And you missed it until he was gone.
Mm-hmm. Actually, my mother was the one that called me to tell me that Alyssa had confided in her about what had happened.
Okay, and was he prosecuted for that?
He was. Minimally, if you want to say. We did take it through court.
And what happened?
Basically got a slap on the wrist, got probation, basically.
But he was found guilty of what?
I think it was 2 counts of felony child abuse.
Okay. Now, this was not her biological father?
No.
Okay. And you say there may have been molestation involved, but you're unclear about that because they weren't able to determine that in debriefing her?
They weren't able to, no.
How do you feel about missing that?
I mean, I don't know how more incomplete of a mother you can feel like for missing something like that. I mean, they clearly say, well, all the signs were there, but when your child doesn't act any different, and she's the same child to you, and there's no animosity between her and the stepfather.
And how long did this go on?
Probably a good year.
And my question to you is, this is your daughter that was abused to the point of broken bones for a year on your watch. What do you say to yourself about that?
Coming up.
Do you want to grab her and shake her? Do you want to ask, what the hell are you thinking? Well, I'm trying to figure out what your logic is inside, because your reaction to this is really inappropriate.
When the going gets tough.
What? Don't yell at me like that.
You don't have an anger problem. Well, that's a relief.
When life throws you a curve.
He lost their entire $1 million retirement fund, mostly on women. Women he met online, but never in person.
Sophie is mute. She was in an auto accident. April and I are engaged. This lady is Jane. Her and her daughter are now being held in captivity.
It's kind of like a soap opera, really.
One show.
Hundreds of couples are targeted by an imposter in a fake adoption scandal.
Has it all.
Gabby told us that she was 15, she was pregnant with twin girls.
She had hurt so many families.
It's now time to finally meet Gabby. You led them to believe that you had a baby.
I'm done.
It's Dr. Phil February. We now return to a Dr. Phil exclusive.
This is your daughter that was abused to the point of broken bones for a year on your watch.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to yourself about that?
I can't take it back. You know, I can't erase the time. But, you know, as far as me, I wish it was me, because I feel like part of that has probably led to some of this.
How do you feel about that happening on your watch? You failed to protect your child.
Yeah,
you failed
exactly.
To see it. How do you feel about that?
You know, I don't have words for how I feel about that, other than a complete failure is about the only thing that can explain it in my mind. You know, like, no parent should ever let their child down, like, ever. And I feel like I failed to protect her, like you said. I mean, I wish I had like superpowers that could maybe give me the hindsight that I needed so I wouldn't have been so blind.
What were you focused on that took your attention to the point that you didn't notice?
I guess it was the constantly having to work. You know, to make ends meet, you have to work.
Do you parent her from guilt? You said you indulge her some. I do. I feel like I parent from guilt, you know, because I know that that memory is always in her mind and I can't take it away. So it's like, I guess the spoiling her makes me feel better for letting her down. Is part of that the reason why you don't seem to be able to feel anger or outrage at the fact of her trying to have you killed?
I think that's, you know, it could be. So, I mean, if I don't seem angry about what she's done, I just, in my heart of hearts, I don't know how to feel angry.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because your reaction to this is really inappropriate. It's disproportionate to what's happened here. And so I'm wondering if part of you figures, maybe I deserve her disdain. Maybe I deserve her wanting me dead because of what I've allowed in her. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what your logic is inside, because I think 999 out of 1,000 parents, including me, if their child wanted to have them killed, my response would be, what the hell are you talking about? There would be no explanation they could give that would make that okay. I'd want to jerk a knot in their tail so fast, make your head spin, and you're like, well, you know, she's really a sweet girl. I mean, is a part of you thinking, yeah, maybe I deserve it?
I would think so. I have to say that everything she's been through in one realm or another is my fault. I mean, am I angry at my kid? Very much so.
What's the angry part, if you say? I mean, do you want to grab her and shake her? Do you want to ask what the hell are you thinking? What is the angry part?
The angry part of me wants to, you know, smack her around like she says that I've done to her. You know, that's the anger in me. And smack that sense into her. I don't know, scold her, beat her butt. You know, I don't know what you do, but...
You love Mike?
Very much.
She wanted to have him killed.
I know. That's the part that just makes me want to throttle her, but...
There's no but to it. I mean, there's a non sequitur here that I'm trying to figure out. You can't excuse this or explain it away. She tried to have you murdered.
Coming up.
Have you ever asked her, why did you want me dead?
No, not yet.
You haven't asked her that?
Last night was the first time I'd seen her since she's been in there.
And that wasn't on your short list of questions?
A new episode of Dr. Phil's true crime podcast, Twisted Love, bringing a murderer to justice.
The delicate dance between Mark Castellano and I teeters on the brink. What do you think happened to her?
I pray to God that she can come out of this.
Truth will out.
I had strong suspicions that he was hiding something.
I got a text message this morning from Mark.
It went too far.
Mystery and Murder, analysis by Dr. Phil. Episodes 1 through 3, available now on Apple Podcast and Stitcher.
We now return to a Dr. Phil exclusive.
She tried to have you murdered. And if you trivialize that, they're in a court in the land that is going to turn her loose into y'all's care. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, I get it.
I'm not asking you to jump up and bounce off the walls here, but I mean, understand, you've just got somebody sitting there and he or she is saying, okay, what are my resources here? Who are these parents? Do they get what's going on here? Because whatever happens, if I don't lock this child away as a menace to society, what am I turning her back to? And if it's a mother that's saying, well, you know, she's a sweet girl, and a dad that's saying, you know, I don't know why she'd want me dead. I don't know. It's like, what do you know?
What I know is that the daughter we have has been taken away by circumstances that we couldn't control. The more we tried the worse it got.
Behavior is on a continuum, and it goes from negative down here to positive, and this is really dark, and this is really bright, and it's the same girl. Mm-hmm. She's just gone down here to the dark end, decided to have you killed, and something has put her down there, and it's going to take a lot of resolve to get her back. First thing that's going to happen is she's going to realize the gravity of what she's tried to do. Mm-hmm. Let's say the moment of clarity hits her, mm-hmm. and she says, oh my God, I tried to have my parents murdered. What kind of human being am I? And she's going to cycle way down. I mean, have you thought about that? Her clarity when this hits her, and she realized, I'm got a big scarlet letter on my forehead. I'm the girl that tried to have her parents murdered.
I think that clarity actually is hitting her to a small degree.
You saw her last night?
We saw her last night.
What was her demeanor?
Broken. She's like, I don't know who this person is. Something's wrong with me. I'm a monster. Who has their parents killed? And the only thing she can do is apologize and beg for help.
Did she apologize?
She did.
What did she say?
From her knees and all her tears, it's crying that she's so sorry, that she loves us, that she would never want us killed. Her story is, you know, she was in a low, the drugs made her do it, she didn't know what she was thinking. But she said, you know, mainly outside of the excuses, she would accept whatever the consequences were.
Have you ever asked her, why did you want me dead?
No, not yet.
You haven't asked her that?
Last night was the first time I'd seen her since she's been in there.
And that wasn't on your short list of questions?
No, I didn't want to get into her case basically with her right in there.
Are you curious what she'll say?
Yes.
They offered her a plea deal, right?
That's our understanding.
Our understanding from Alyssa was the conversation that she had with her public defender.
Okay, well, you can't offer a 17-year-old juvenile a 20-year plea deal.
The public defender told Alyssa that she would be adjudicated as an adult, that she would be in adult court.
Did it scare her?
You know, basically, I guess she tried to tell her that, you know, you could take a plea deal, it was your best option. It beats going to trial because if you go to trial on 2 counts, you're looking at 30 years each. So you're looking at 60 years.
How do you feel about her representative telling her your best deal is to take 20 years?
In the mindset with the mental health, I just honestly don't know how the heck you can tell a 17-year-old child that. I don't know how the heck you can tell her that and not look at everything else and not try to work other angles or do what's best for her. And, you know, she's like, clearly I know to some part what I am guilty of and I know what I'm not guilty of. But she's like, you know, they're telling me the best I can do is 20 years. And I'm saying, no, you can take it to court and I'll try for 60. Because right now, in my mindset, 20 is just as bad as 60 for her. I guess she thought, well, I'm a kid. What are they going to do?
Do you think she's sorry she got caught, or do you think she's sorry for what she tried to do?
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. She's afraid of her fiancé.
You hit my ass!
His mean texts.
You an ugly b****. Why is this okay with you?
Because I love him.
That's tomorrow. We now return to a Dr. Phil exclusive.
Do you think she's sorry she got caught, or do you think she's sorry for what she tried to do?
She's more sorry for what she tried to do. I don't think the getting caught part is what she's so much focused on. I mean, she's clearly saying that, you know, consequences have to be. She's accepted that.
What drugs do you think she's been doing that you know of? Has she told you?
She's admitted to the marijuana. She's admitted to the dab pen and doing the higher powered THC liquid vape, which is still, I guess, marijuana. She's talked about doing Molly, the Xanax.
Xanax.
She's talked about doing high doses of cocaine, which she's been, you know, real vague about what could be mixed in or cut into the drugs she didn't know. It's just more like if they're offered, she'd take it, so, you know.
Police said some of this went down at a known drug house. Do you know where they're talking about?
Yeah.
And did she frequent this place?
I don't know that.
Do you know where it is?
Yes.
And how long, to y'all's knowledge, has she been doing, you know, marijuana, Molly, Xanax, Coke, all of this sort of thing?
I've known that she's dibble-dabbled with at least smoking weed probably since maybe middle school, 8th grade. As a social thing, she's admitted to, you know, smoking it here and there. But as far as the cocaine, the Molly, the Xanax, what, 4 or 5 months, like pretty hard and heavy.
Has she been to rehab or anything to try to get sober, detox or rehab or anything to try to get her off of these substances?
She's been at a treatment facility where she's received counseling in depth for, what, 15, 20 days.
Has she been diagnosed with PTSD?
Mm-hmm. She has.
What else?
She has bipolar 1. They haven't quite dove in enough to figure out if there's borderline personality involved, but they do know that she has severe impulse control. They know that she has severe anxiety and moderate depression. And then they said with the drug-induced part of it is where her mania comes in, the manic part of it. It's waves of depression and anxiety for her, but with the drugs, she hits the manic episodes where she reacts violently, apparently, especially with the cocaine.
So she's been off drugs, as far as you know. Is she coming down? Is she crashing?
She spent a hard 5 days coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's definitely more coherent in conversation. She's getting, like, I guess the flashbacks of, like, things that did happen.
Leading up to this, had you noticed her being particularly manic or particularly depressed or zoned out or anything at all?
She would go through waves of, like, the anxiety. I guess you'd say when she got back on her feet, she became more of herself. Filling out college applications, you know, wanting to do scholarships, you know. I mean, she was definitely more herself. She was on her medication, and then she just flipped.
If she was out today, let's say she was out on bail or they put a ankle bracelet on her and sent her home, would she reach out to this boyfriend?
Leader tries to hire hitmen to kill parents. A Dr. Phil exclusive.
If she was out today, would she reach out to this boyfriend?
I do not believe that she would reach out to him. I believe that he would try every way necessary to get to her.
Have you considered getting a restraining order against him?
We've tried numerous times to get restraining orders put in place.
And what was the response?
Unless Alyssa says that she feels threatened or harmed, as a parent, you can't do anything.
I think this is a very complex situation. I can't trivialize what your daughter has done. She has to understand the full weight and gravity of what could have happened here to ensure that she doesn't ever consider anything like this again. I don't think your daughter is a monster. You know, there are certain personality types that sometimes they're born this way, sometimes something happens and a switch is flipped, and they're just irredeemable psychopaths. I absolutely do not believe that's the case here. I also don't believe that she wanted you two dead, because I don't believe she understood the gravity of what she was doing. Did she understand she was paying somebody to kill you? Yes. Did she understand what that meant? That one day she would wake up and your corpses would be laying there? No. There's one thing I know for sure, and that is when children's brains get subjected to drugs, their mental and emotional development is arrested at that point. Now, we know that at least at the 8th grade, she started playing around with drugs. I believe she's functioning at an emotional age of about 11 or 12 years old. Everything I can see points to that in terms of her problem recognition skills, her problem solving skills, her ability to regulate her emotions, her impulse control. You know, a child's brain is not finish developing at least well into their 20s. And at 17, their brain is actually pruning itself back. It's actually changing. It's like pruning a hedge. It's changing inside. And then you put Xanax, Molly's, marijuana with the THC, and cocaine. It's just like opening up your hard drive on your computer and pouring water in there, and it starts short-circuiting, and you get nonsense on your screen. I've looked at what you're saying that she's taking and this PTSD that I have no doubt. If you take a child and break their bones and everything leading up to that, and they feel powerless to resist that, it really changes who they are. And if you think for 1 second that locking her in a cage is going to fix any of that, all that's going to do is put her around people that are really good at being criminals. I would highly recommend you supplementing your legal representation. I know some very powerful lawyers in this part of the country. I've made some phone calls, and I'm going to be able to refer you to a very accomplished, high-powered lawyer that has a good rapport with this particular court that will take this case and represent your daughter on a pro bono basis. We're going to recommend that she go to a very intensive inpatient treatment program. I think we need to pull her back from the brink of disaster here, but in a way where we have to address all the problems and fix them. I'm willing to offer all of these resources if you think it's of help.
No, definitely.
So what do you think about the plan I'm talking about here?
Sounds incredible. Really does.
It's a blessing.
You need a new strategy. You need a new plan. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Coming up.
This is a girl who's not got a crime problem, but has a drug addiction.
Was she leaning into the help?
It took some time with her to admit that drugs have caused her life to spiral out of control.
What's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our email newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else.
Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today.
Our firm handles several high-profile cases throughout the state of Florida. Dr. Phil contacted us to find out who would be the right fit, lawyer-wise, to represent Alyssa Hatcher, being that she's a minor and only 16 years old. So one of my jobs was to find the appropriate representation for Alyssa, orchestrate the appropriate legal team for her, and I've found Rajan Joshi, who I've known for 25 years. He's an empathetic lawyer and an aggressive lawyer, so we thought that he would be the perfect fit, and rightfully so, because he was able to negotiate a very good deal for Alyssa Hatcher.
When Rajan came on board, Alyssa was being charged as an adult and facing decades behind bars in the state of Florida. How did you get involved in this case?
Well, I was contacted by a really good friend of mine. He called me up, explained to me the situation, and told me that you were involved, and asked me if I'd take it on pro bono. And it was the right cause, it was the right reason, and the right client.
Thank you so much for getting involved in this, because you're right, this was getting ready to go down a wrong direction, and it, I think, was going to ruin this young woman's life. But when you came on board, what was Alyssa being charged with?
She had been arrested for 2 counts of solicitation to commit murder.
Right.
She'd been charged with credit card fraud, 2 counts, grand theft, petty theft. So when I got involved, the prosecution was looking to charge her as an adult.
Did you think that was fair, appropriate, right for her?
Given her circumstances, it wouldn't have been the right call in this particular case. This is a girl who's not got a crime problem, but has a drug addiction. She was an honor student a year before this. She was a cheerleader. She was a varsity soccer player. So she's someone who had all the potential until she got involved in drugs, and then it just led her on a different path.
How did you get this off the path of being charged as an adult and onto the path of being treated as a juvenile? What did you have to do?
What I had to do is I had to present the facts to the prosecution that this was a client who needed drug help rather than punishment. This was someone who loved her parents, who had an addiction that was so strong that she was willing to do anything to protect it.
Just so people understand, what difference did it make in this young woman's life to be charged in the juvenile system instead of being charged as an adult?
Well, if she was charged as an adult, her guidelines were starting off right at 10 years. And then it could go up to 75 plus years with everything she's charged with. Right. Not saying she'd ever get that, but, and then she's also looking at a felony conviction. She's looking at going to prison, adult prison. Right now, fortunately, she went into a juvenile detention facility, and she's going to be out in 9 months. And then she's going to be on secured release, where one of the main aspects of it is her getting drug help.
When you met with her, was she leaning into the help?
It took a little bit of tough love. It took some time with her to actually get her to admit that drugs have caused her life to spiral out of control. But once she realized it, it dawned on her.
Now, listen, I know you don't want to toot your own horn here too much, but how grateful are her parents for what you achieved here? They get it?
They do, but I also have to give them, you know, some of the credit, the support they had towards her, the love they had towards her. I think it was a group effort. I won't take all the credit myself.
I understand. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough. When I sat down with those parents, they were so lost. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know where to go. For you to step up and lean into this for them, I mean, it just made a difference between this girl, you know, winding up spending years with really hardened criminals versus getting the help she needed and a second chance at her life. And I hope you go home feeling good about that kind of result.
I do. Thank you.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
I feel honored that you picked me for this.
Well, thank you for doing it. We will keep you updated on this story, and we hope this family can heal. For more information, go to drphil.com. Thanks for watching.